Welcome everybody to our membership development webinar. So Veronica, if you want to go to the next slide and we could talk about the table of contents. So the first thing we're going to talk about is like the introductions, like who we are, our icebreakers, and just trying to create a connection between all of us. And then after that, we have resources, like how you can find the resources, where the resources are, the best ways to get the resources. And then we have increasing members, which Lyndon, you are talking about that, right?
No, I'm going to be talking about retaining members.
Okay, you're talking about retaining.
It's me, sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry. And then we have engagement, and then outlining your first meeting, like how you should run it, what we think you should do, and how to get high numbers of people to join. So then we can start with our introductions. So hi, my name is Anderson Dell. I'm the membership development chair for this year, the 2024-2025. One fact about me is that I'm really tall, and I've been in Key Club since my freshman year, which was just last year. And I ran for a membership or a district position because I really enjoyed being in Key Club and seeing the difference it made in my personal community. And I wanted to help other people do that throughout a grander scheme of things, throughout the District of Florida, and maybe one day run for a or like a higher up position in the district board or even in the international board. Reina, would you like to go next?
Yeah, okay. So, hi everyone. I'm Raina Zhang. I'm your Division 4 Lieutenant Governor. And one fact about me is that I'm a junior in high school and I've been in Key Club since freshman year.
Lyndon?
All right, hey guys, my name is Lyndon. I'm the Division 2B Lieutenant Governor. The fun fact about me is I'm going into my senior year. I've been in Key Club since freshman year, and this is my second term as Lieutenant Governor. And then yeah, that's about it.
Paulina?
Hi everyone, my name is Paulina. Fun fact about me is I'm going to my senior year in high school and I've been in Key Club since sophomore year.
And then Veronica.
Hi guys, I'm Veronica. I'm the Division 22 Lieutenant Governor, and a fun fact about me is I'm a senior and I joined Key Club halfway through sophomore year.
And then Colin.
Hey everyone, my name is Colin. I'm going into senior year. I started in sophomore year and I've just progressively liked Key Club more and more each year. So
Okay, so next we have like a couple trivia questions. There's only 5 of them, but I think they're a good kind of icebreaker. So if you guys just want to type in the chat and we'll give it like a minute or maybe a little bit less for each question. So when and where was the first Key Club created? Sacramento High School in California in 1925, St. Petersburg High School, Florida in 1926, or Whitney High School, California in 1925. So it seems everybody got that extremely quickly. So we can move on to the next one if you want, Veronica. Oh, when was the Florida district formed? This is another pretty easy one. Okay, so the answer was Veronica. It was 1939. And then, so we can move on to the next question. So Veronica, if you would like to reveal the answer. It was all of them. So Tom Cruise, Bill Clinton, and Elvis Presley were all in Key Club at different times, which is really interesting to see because these are all famous big name people who made a lot of changes in the world. Next slide, please. So the Key Club International office, if Veronica, if you'd like to click it, was in C. It was in Indiana. CNH is the California, Nevada, Hawaii district. I just didn't write California, Nevada, Hawaii because it took up like the whole page. I messed it up. Okay, so yeah, the answer was CNH. It is it's the biggest district in Key Club, and it was also the first district with it being Sacramento High School was in that district, and also that's where like the Key Wins, sorry, also started. If you want to go to the next slide. Okay, so now we're going to go into breakout rooms and you're going to talk about your name, division, your role, if you're a member, a club president, or who you are in your club, district, and then one fact about yourself, and then your favorite Key Club memory or part of Key Club, and then the best part of your summer. So we are going to divide it into 6 breakout rooms.
Give me 1 second. Anderson, I have to just put Paulina in a breakout room so that all the co-hosts are in at least one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I can't find her name. There she is.
So we're probably going to be in these breakout rooms for 5 to 10 minutes, just going around talking. And so I think we're going to have it automatically divided up.
Yeah, it should automatically go. Okay, perfect. Whenever you guys are ready.
Okay, if you could start it now, that would be amazing. So does anyone here have any questions about membership or what they want to talk about in the webinar that they didn't hear on the table of contents or anything like that at all? If you want, you could type it as a question in the chat, or you could just ask me or raise your hand. The webinar is supposed to talk about how you can retain members, how you can increase your membership at your club, and how you can do these things as a member, how you can do it as like a club president, how you can do it as an LTG, and just how many different ways you can keep your key club entertaining from all different aspects of it. Like, say you're a member, a really good way to increase membership is by taking a friend who's not in key club to a key club member or to a key club meeting. Because if everybody brings one person and they all decide to join, which is kind of unrealistic, maybe say 50% joins, then that's a massive increase in key club itself. And that's a great way that members can do it even on their own. And then also presidents and other people can make sure people are up to date and that meetings are consistent, and just trying to give you more awareness on how you can make this school year one of the best years for membership. And it's super important this year specifically because the dues at Icon, the dues for international, went up to, I think each member has to pay $17 now. And we're going to talk about different ways you can offset that cost by doing fundraisers and talking to your Kiwanis and other things like that. Any more questions? If not, I'm just going to give it a couple more minutes for everybody to join back and be finished with their breakout rooms. Daniela, you went to Icon, right?
Yes, I went to Icon.
Do you want to talk about some things that you learned about Icon that you think would be helpful to know about membership?
Let me process right
Okay,
now.
sorry to
I
call
have
you
to
out on
remember what happened. No, it's fine, don't worry. Because the thing is, like, they had different workshops, and I didn't go to like the workshops that were about that. I went to the secretary ones, so like I don't really know. And like Icon is mostly voting for things. So like
Mhm.
for example, you mentioned the dues increase, so it will be $17. And we're also having another webinar in August, which we sent out an email for, which is like all about dues and the increase and how to fundraise for that and how to obviously offset the costs. So I don't really know much about membership from Icon specifically, but about dues, yes.
Wait,
So
Sydney, you said that you went to Icon. Do you have anything about membership?
Honestly, the main thing that they really focused on is how with the dues increase, like we're gonna have a harder time gaining membership. But I didn't really attend any workshops that talked about it specifically. It wasn't really a big topic.
yeah, so I know one good way that we are probably going to talk about later in the presentation, or I'll just mention it now that everybody's back. So as soon as we get the presentation back, Veronica, if you could, sorry, present it. But one good way is to have these kind of like before school like fundraisers. Like I know my club, sadly I couldn't attend, but yesterday they did a car wash that raised money so that we could offset some of the dues for some members, because it's very important that we are able to maintain these dues at a lower cost, because some people can't afford to pay maybe like $25 a club. And there's also ways like asking your Kiwanis for help, or asking them to bring food to like meetings or bringing incentives so that more people come to your meetings and more people hear about Key Club, so that the people who can afford it will join. And then you also just have a bunch of different varieties of people, everything like that. Veronica, if you would like to go to the next slide. Okay, so number 2, resources. This is Reina, right?
Okay. So, there are lots and lots of resources that are available to all of you guys in case you need anything for your club, or you have a problem, or you just need information. So, one way to get a lot of information and resources is from the Florida Key Club website. There is a lot of stuff that you can find on the website if you just look for it. Like there's stuff about how to advertise your club and how to increase members as well. It's kind of like very general and broad, and if you guys are looking for anything more specific, you can just ask us. But there's also we're also sending out like a Google Drive too, as it says on the slide, and that's also going to have a lot of resources that you guys can use as well. And just keep in mind that the website is always available for you guys, and it's just something that you can reference if you ever have any trouble in the future this year. So another thing is contacting other clubs. So other clubs all have different ways of doing certain things, and if you're having any trouble with getting dues or performing any thing, then you can always ask the other clubs in your division. And going to DCMs is a really, really great opportunity to do this, because at DCMs, not only are all the other officers from your division present, your LTG is also present. So if you have any concerns or any problems, you can pretty much always get them answered at DCMs. So that's also something to keep in mind. And can we go to the next slide? Okay, so if you can't find what you're looking for at the website or from asking around, then just email us. Like, we are always happy to help you. Like, if you email us about a problem, we'll do our very best to help you. And we just really want to emphasize that if you guys are ever struggling with anything related to membership or just trying to get your members engaged, then we will do our very best to help you come up with a solution for this. And if you kind of want to solve it on your own, then you can kind of make your own resources for your clubs, like flyers or brochures, and you can kind of spread information and get people to know about your clubs and advertise it like by yourself and kind of take matters into your own hands. And there's a lot that you can do by yourself and with your school. So just keep that in mind as well. Like, don't feel kind of limited. Like, don't feel limited, and make sure that you know that you have a lot of resources available to you. So one other thing is to check the international site as well. So the international site has a lot of resources as well. So Key Club is a leadership organization, and the international site has this global leadership certificate program. And it's a really, really good way to gain leadership skills and gain insights onto how to lead others. And this is a very, very important skill to have, especially if you're an officer in your club. And I think that this is just something you guys should definitely check out, especially if you guys are trying to increase membership, and lead your club to grow this year. Okay.
Oh, okay. So sorry, before we go on to increasing members and continuing on the presentation, does anybody have any questions or anything they would like to talk about the resources and how you can find them? Because there are things that I want to send out, like that Google Drive, that I hope to later turn into a Google Drive where clubs can send the membership development committee resources, and then we'll put them in a drive so that we have like a massive drive that everybody can access and find resources. So going back to that contacting clubs, like contacting other clubs, you can just search through there and find your resources that you need and just have a massive like resource that you can use to find other resources that you want and need. If you have problems with service hours, like, are you talking about in your own club or as a person? Like you're not having enough opportunity for service hours or service, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of a little bit confused. Or yeah. But
Deanna, could you unmute yourself and kind of explain your
Oh, yeah.
question a little bit?
Okay, so our club is having trouble like recording hours. I can't access the website no matter what I use to log in. And we missed like 2 months like like tracking. And I think I contacted the wrong person because they haven't gotten back to me on it. I don't know.
Do you mean you are not able to access like community and putting in service hours, or like the
I can
Florida
access
district
it,
website?
but it says that I don't have the authority to look at like service.
So I think, Daniela, is that a you question or is that a somebody else question for the service hours?
No, I just wait, what? No,
Sorry,
no, like I just put something in the chat about the global leadership certificate, but like that doesn't have to do with that.
No. Deanna was asking about how she couldn't access the website for service hours. I was just wondering if that was, if you're the person that she should contact about that, or is that somebody else?
That should be Eleanor, because I'm not the one that manages the website.
Yeah, you can probably contact me about that.
Okay. Okay, so if nobody else has any more questions, then we can move on to increasing members. Yeah, I'll put the presentation either in here, or I'll have to make sure I'll get it approved by my advisors, and then I'll send it out to all the people who RSVP'd. Okay, so increasing members.
All right. So increasing members is also very important to make sure your club is like big and you guys have enough people to volunteer in your community. So the tactics to getting a bigger club is encourage members to bring their friend to a meeting. So just like Anderson talked about earlier, you can do a bring a friend day, and just when you do that, bring a friend day, make sure your meetings are interesting and that it will encourage them to come back. And then after a few of those, you'll start to see a slow increase in your club members. Throughout your meeting, I would add different games, including prizes, into your meetings. So like you could play a game, the prize could be a candy or a $5 gift card, something like that. Or something that will catch the members' eye. So think about high schoolers, what do you guys like to do? And then kind of try to bring that into the meeting to encourage them to come back. And I know one thing, the school I come from Marco Island Academy. In our meetings we had little things like do a cartwheel in front of the room. The first one to do it will get a piece of candy. So that's also a way, and that will also get them to pay attention to your meetings. And then you can talk to Kiwanis about offsetting dues, meaning they can make a donation to your club to help cover the cost per member. So dues isn't something always you'll have to pay for. Well, sorry, did it unshare the screen? Okay. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it did.
Give me
But-
1 second.
Okay, while Veronica's fixing that, back to talking about Kiwanis and how they can offset your dues. There's so many different things that Kiwanis can help you with. Like they can help you with decon, like how you're gonna get to decon, like money-wise and stuff like that. Your Kiwanis is basically your best friend. They can give you donations and so much help with everything. but you have to make an actual connection with them, because it's kind of weird to just go up to somebody and say, hey, can I have your money? I want to buy something. So try to make a connection with your Kiwanis by going to their meetings and their different events. Like, I know for us, we had a Monte Carlo night that we attended, and that was amazing. It was a lot of fun seeing a bunch of like Kiwanis members. And I think that's a very important thing, creating a relationship with your Kiwanis so that they're open to helping you through things like offsetting dues and decon and stuff like that. They're a super powerful resource, and they're always super wise. So you can ask them questions. And then, yeah, back to you, Veronica.
Okay, sorry about that. So use your club fair. If you don't have a club fair and you have like an orientation for freshmen, where you can advertise your club, use it. So you obviously want to advertise your club, make it look interesting, include pictures of like the moments you guys have had that like really struck out to you that makes other people want to join the club, whether it's making friends, whatever it is. So you want to show Key Club that it's an amazing club, have objects on your table that might attract students to Key Club. Making connections. So when a student comes up to your table, the Key Club table, you want to like talk to them, like tell them about Key Club, what it is, how it benefits you, and we'll talk about that a little bit after of how it benefits you. But especially the ones who look interested, you really want to kind of reel them in to Key Club, so that will help them come back. Decision. Tell them when your next club meeting is. I would make sure they come to a club meeting. That way they know what it is for sure. Like, yeah, you told them, but let them experience it. And then give them all the information, let them know the dues, all that stuff up front. That way it doesn't look like, oh, I wanted you to be in the club, but here's what you have to do. Then it doesn't look like you're lying, if that makes sense. So just give them all the information right up front.
Okay, so I want to go back to the making connections. So this is really important. And Mr. Felicia, one of my advisors, was talking about at his school, how they'll let you pay dues up front, and then they'll ring a little bell. And that kind of symbolizes that you're making a connection, because they've already made a connection to your Key Club. They've basically said, okay, I'm going to do it. Here's my money. And then they ring a bell. And it's kind of an interaction where they're creating that connection, and it's drawing in other people's attention, because it's like, why are they ringing a bell at my club fair? And then you realize how many different ways that you can do this. Like, you could have a scrapbook, or like back to how Veronica was talking about photos, just these great moments and how your Key Club specifically changed your community and environment and what good it has done. Okay. It's back to you, Veronica. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. And then ways to advertise your Key Club. Have an active social media presence. So making sure that like you're posting on social media, Instagram especially, because that's what we all use nowadays pretty much is Instagram. So like friend people that go to your school maybe, that way they know like you have a page, and then it will interest them to click on it and look at it, and then if they see good stuff, they'll want to join. Just like anything, if you see anything fun, you probably want to join. So just do that for Key Club. And then be present at school events. So when you're hosting an event, maybe ask your principal to come or invite the school, and then try to attract them into Key Club. And then get involved at a school event too. So like if you're instead of us hosting an event, Key Club, if your school is hosting an event, ask if Key Club can help and volunteer to set up, run a booth, clean up, direct people, any of that kind of stuff. And collaborating with other clubs is a great way to spread Key Club's name at your school. So if you have any clubs nearby that have a Key Club, maybe invite them to come too. Promote. So actively promote your club, why it's good, all the stuff that Key Club has for you. There are many ways to do this, like school news, maybe even having a club t-shirt. I know a lot of clubs around Florida do have club t-shirts, but if you don't have one, maybe bring like create one, and then if you wanted, like your club could do a wear your Key Club t-shirt day, and then you guys could take pictures, post it, and even have like a fun meeting that day and include those fun pictures in your Key Club shirts on the Instagram and whatever else you guys advertise your club with. And then same thing with hanging flyers. Use those fun pictures and the t-shirts and stuff to advertise your club. All right, and reasons to join Key Club. Community. Key Club is all about giving back to your community. Within working, like, by working the community events, you'll meet new people in your community and make new connections. And that's really important, like, especially, like, when you need something in your community most likely will come back and help you if you're known and you're known for helping your community. Leadership. Key Club has many different positions of being a leader in your community, whether it's at club level or even district level or international level. And I'll go over that in a little bit. College, Key Club is an eye catch for colleges. Some colleges even choose a student who has Key Club on their activities list over someone who with National Honor Society. I learned that this summer. At one of our district meetings, that was said. Friendship. Between joining the club, volunteering at events, and attending meetings, you'll meet so many people, and create new friendships, especially if you do end up wanting to take a leadership position more than what your school has. You'll create friendship with like the other LTGs around Florida or even the executives. And if you go to Icon, you'll meet LTGs from all over the world. So leadership within the Florida district. So you have the governor. The governor is kind of like quote unquote the manager. He makes sure everything's running fluidly around Florida. And then he makes the final decisions. He also has his governor project, so he kind of decides what we want to focus on of making the community better. We have executive committee, which like Daniela, Eleanor, they're on here. They're in charge of like different little things. So the secretary, she like makes sure we're doing what we have to do, keeping track of all the records of things. The treasurer in charge of the money, the financials. Eleanor is webmaster, she's in charge of the website, all that kind of stuff. Then we have committee chairs, so they're in charge of like we're in charge of membership growth. So Anderson's in charge of finding like ways of including membership growth, and then us lieutenant governors help him with that under his committee. We also have like a financial committee. We have a decon committee who plans decon, that kind of thing. Lieutenant governors are also not only in charge of helping the committees, but helping their division grow, answering questions for clubs, keeping records of their clubs, and trying to help them do better and like increase members, get those awards at decon, helping them find different service projects, and getting them to volunteer in the community. And then after that, you have the club level officers. So, they like are in charge of the club, obviously, and then all those other like the executive officers that I was talking about, they have like their own club level executive officers where they like are in charge of the same thing, secretary doing their reports, webmasters, the website, and even social medias, that kind of thing. So yeah, but the pyramid, it shows a pyramid, and it doesn't mean that, yes, the governor is like managing us, but we all work together. So it's not one's more than the other, one does more work. We all work together to try to improve the community in Florida.
So if anybody has any questions, typing them into the chat would be amazing. And if you have any questions while somebody is presenting, you can type them in the chat and we'll come back to them at the end of that section. But back to what Veronica was saying about that pyramid, it's very important to realize that without any part of that pyramid, Key Club as a whole wouldn't work, because we need Alejandro just as much as we need the members. Because if you don't have members, you're not going to have a Key Club. And if you don't have the governor, then you're not going to have a governor's project, and you're not going to have a grand goal that you're working forward to, like Lit for Life. And I think it's just really important to realize that the members are just as important as everybody else in the Key Club, and that how we all work together shows that we have a community. A great way in order to go up the rank system and be more involved, I think that you can start wherever you want. Well, everybody starts as a member, and then you can go through your own club, and then you could go for an LTG position or a chair position, and then slowly work your way up. But I think that every role in Key Club is extremely important, and that you could run for your LTG and show that you are involved in your community, like your district and your club, because that's somebody that's still in the middle of district board and club level, because they work with all the clubs in their area, but they also have a very important role at their school and other places like that. But I think slowly working your way up that pyramid is a great way to do that. And if no more questions are present, we could move on to the next part.
All right, thank you, Anderson and Veronica. As we just learned that we learned how to gain members and how to grow your club, now it's time to retain those members. It's time to keep them around so that way you can impact your community better. So if you'll just go to the next slide for me. Awesome. So why do members lose interest in Key Club, right? So it takes a lot of time when members aren't engaged in service activities and they don't enjoy Key Club because they don't make connections with members, their advisor, and even the club itself. If you're having like 4 meetings before you have a service project, people are probably going to not go to your meetings anymore. You really want to keep them involved, make them feel active, and make them feel like they're making an impact. Information might be lost. It might be hard to find for the members. It might be unclear. Having a clear form of contact for people to read, like Remind or Instagram or anything you guys have, will be good for information, and keeping it consistent too. If your Key Club meeting is every Wednesday at lunch or every Monday at lunch, keep it consistent. That's going to really help your members keep it in order of their head, so that way they can go to your meetings. And importance too. In January, a lot of members freeze over and they stop participating in Key Club. And a reason you can combat this is importance. Show them why Key Club is important and will make a difference. If you have more events, if you make them feel like they're making an impact in the club and they have a purpose in the club, they're going to stay around longer. So if you'll just go to the next slide for me. And if you guys have questions, you guys can put it in the chat and I will definitely help you guys answer them right after. As you can see, so ways to keep your members throughout the service year, hands-on service projects. I've seen that hands-on service does a lot more than just free rice on the computer. Having service projects where everybody can serve in person will make a passion for service in your club. So this is something that you can do with your elementary students, or like a shelter in your area or anything like that. Yes, food drives are amazing. Don't get me wrong. They're awesome. I encourage that for everybody. But if you can allow your members to do something themselves in person where they can see the person that they're impacting, it's going to impact them just as much. And it's going to make them want to stay longer. Show appreciation to your members. Let your members know that they matter to you and that their hard work is seen. Members who are recognized for the service will in turn stay longer. Some people may feel unappreciated and they might be doing a lot of work for Key Club and then they end up quitting. So make sure you tell people thank you whenever you get a chance. Make sure that you say, hey, dude, what you did at that service project was really cool. And I really want to do that too with you. Makes them feel like they have a purpose inside the club, and just engage. At every meeting, always include like an activity or some kind of service project that you can do there, and allow your members to give input too. Allow them to create service projects, allow them to manage service projects. Back at my home Key Club back in Panama City, Dean Bozeman High School, every service project we do, we have a like a service project manager who will just look over the entire service project, and that's going to build leadership, it's going to build opportunity, and it's just going to be really really great. So my last slide, I have some quick win ideas for you guys. So that way, if you guys want to take notes on these, this is some easy ways to keep your members engaged, keep them staying around. Having a service banquet at the end of your year. This will allow you to show your appreciation to your members by giving out awards and maybe pinning new officers. If you guys go to the Key Club website, you can find like a president pin, a secretary pin, a treasurer pin, like every kind of pin. And it doesn't even have to be for like the district. It can be for your club too. There's club ones. And you can pin them at the end of the year. So that's something you can really do. And it gives something for people to look forward to. If people have something to look forward to at the end of the year, they're not just gonna, stay back, icebreakers to keep your meetings interesting for all your members. Have a game before you get into the meeting. This way your members can have fun and get to know each other better. And this will in turn just make your meetings less boring. Sometimes we've been through boring meetings. We've all been there. We've all have had those kind of meetings. Icebreakers is definitely what's going to break the ice. That's why it's called an icebreaker, and will keep your members staying around because they enjoy the games. You can theme your events. So big service projects can be a lot of fun, and to add to the experience, you can, for example, do a Hawaii themed beach cleanup. There's many ideas you can do. I know for my Casey that's going to be coming up soon, we're going to be doing like a Western like cowboy theme. So you can get creative, you can have a lot of fun with different ideas, and it'll just make the experience a lot funner. And then feature them on your Key Club Instagram. You can make funny reels, you can make like informational stuff. You can make whatever you want, but that'll grow your Instagram and kind of what Veronica was talking about earlier. It also bring more members in too. So yeah, that's about it. That's what I have. If anybody has questions, you guys can put them in the chat and I will be happy to answer them. How would you get members to participate in more service projects? We have a good amount of members showing up to the meetings, but a lot of them don't sign up for any service projects. Okay, that is a really good question. And so what I would do is make sure that they know the information for the service project first. Make sure that they have all the details, the dates, the times, and everything they're going to be included in. Second, I would make sure that every event that you have, after you have the event, talk about it. Talk about what went good, what went wrong. Talk about whatever happened at that event, at your meeting. So that way be like, oh, that was really cool. I wish I was a part of that. I can't believe I missed out on it. And then my last thing I would do is give everybody a role. If everybody that has, like, if you're having a service project and you give people a responsibility inside of it, they're going to feel like they have more of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like a responsibility in the sense of like, hey, I want to go do this because I enjoy it. And so that might help. If that doesn't work, you can always email us. We can definitely help you. And if you have more questions, you can definitely ask right now as well.
Yeah, and
And I
continuing
mean, it's
off
going
of
to be
what,
different for every club.
sorry,
Huh?
Lyndon, I didn't mean to cut you off. But another way that you could make members more interactive with your service projects and just getting more hours in general is back to that incentives idea. Like, if you have the top 3 members in your club with the most service hours, get Key Club shirts or they get Key Club merch. And then also back to that idea of themes, having those themed cleanups like decon. I think one of my most vivid memories from decon is my friend Elise going to decon one of the like nights, and she was wearing an inflatable blue dinosaur costume. And I think that just adds like a funny aspect to your meetings and other things, having these opportunities for people while doing service to still have funny ideas and funny ways to show themselves off.
What would you do if members only showed up on the day of the event but didn't want to do anything to set it up? Kind of going back to what me and Anderson were saying was give those responsibilities, give those roles to certain people. So I'll be like, hey, can we get a setup committee together? Blank, your name, can be in charge of getting a committee together to set up for the event. And I mean, you can go at very different ways. Anderson, do you have any ideas?
Yeah, so for my club, they have it so that there's different time slots that they'll set up on, like, I think it's like Sign Up Genius or something. And they'll be like setup, and then you can sign up for the setup and you still get points like you would during the actual event because you're helping with the event. And just letting people know and how important that is really important. If members graduate high school and want to stay involved in Key Club but don't have a CKI at their college, how can they keep giving back to the community through Key Club? So if they don't have a CKI, you can reach out to the members of CKI and try to get a charter at that school. That's, I think, the first step that I would take, because they want CKI to be at more colleges. And if you want a CKI at your college and you are willing to put in the effort, you could be the president and like help charter the club. And if you can't get a CKI through Key Club, you could still join maybe Kiwanis one day, or go back to your high school and ask how they need help, or even volunteer at these events. And I think that's another really good way. And then
you can join Kiwanis at 18 as well, but I know personally the college that I'm going to doesn't have a CKI, and so I plan on getting contacts and try to charter a club. I actually have the CKI governor's contact card on me as well, which is kind of funny, but definitely work out talking to like the lieutenant governor for the area and the local Kiwanis and setting up that CKI. And if nothing else, you can always join Kiwanis at 18 because we love Kiwanis. Any other questions? Alrighty, well, whoever's next can take it from here.
All right, everyone. So it's time to talk about one of the more crucial parts of retainment, and that's the engagement. So on the next slide, we'll talk about why exactly do we want engagement. So there's sort of like a hidden progressions. I guess you could think of it like a video game if you really want to. But there's a certain step where that first time you go to Key Club and you're just interested in what it is. You're just showing up to the meetings. But by engaging with people and showing how it can be interesting, by intriguing them further, they might start going to more service projects, not just one a month, but 2 or 3 a month. And that quickly turns into, hey, this is a lot of fun. I want to help other people do the exact same thing that I was just doing. So you start applying for leadership positions. Now, everybody has different interests. There's different paces to this. There's a lot of different ways that people do it in Key Club. But usually the end goal is that you're building your own confidence up enough that you can start including others into activities, that you can start promoting Key Club to the point that you're bringing in people that may not be the best public speaker and raising them into their own leadership position so they can prepare for CKI or whatever has like life puts towards them. So on the next slide, there's a couple of different ways that you can just right off the bat keep people engaged. So obviously you have service projects. And one of the things, like obviously Key Club's about service projects, but one of the main things you can really do, and Lyndon kind of covered it with hands-on projects, is showing the impact. Even if you just do a can drive, you might show a group picture of a soup kitchen and all the cans that you have stacked up. When people start seeing that incredible number of cans that you actually gathered, or their friends smiling in these pictures on Instagram, there's a little bit of a, wow, that actually made a difference. It's not just some meeting and then you move on to the next one. You can truly see the impact that your service project had. So you really want to emphasize it and show how each member is making their own progress with projects. You can also reach out to other clubs or Kiwanis, other people in the Key Club families. This way you can sort of build relations. Like, let's say maybe your club is really confident, they know each other, you're really unified, but maybe you don't know any of the other clubs in your division. Or at Casey, it's really awkward. You're going for these icebreakers and you can tell just no other club knows each other. This is a perfect time for them to start communicating with each other and building their own bond. And then of course, Key Club spirit, if you have a Key Club shirt, or even just if your lieutenant governor likes the idea, having some light competition, friendly of course, but between different clubs, or just even having like inner classes, like freshmen and underclassmen versus upperclassmen, having contests to see who can build the best artistic banner or advertisement for Key Club. And you can always give out rewards like candy, or my last DCM we gave out Play-Doh. A lot of people really liked Play-Doh for some reason. So there's a lot of things that you can do to really get people involved just within your own club. Now, I like to always talk about the activities, is although Key Club is mainly a leadership club as well as a service club, it's okay every once in a while to have a social event. You can go bowling as a club or have ice cream. You can go out into a park and just talk as friends. You've probably had those kind of meetings before where it's kind of hard to get things done because everybody's talking about what they did at school that day. This is the perfect time to let that out and to talk as friends. And by doing that, although sure you could have been doing a service opportunity, people are going to want to come back as they start making those friends. Now, you also have public speaking. So I know not everybody is the best public speaker, but I really want to emphasize that, especially for officers, how you present yourself really sets the tone for the rest of your Key Club meeting or your service event. Showing that enthusiasm, asking people how they're doing, even just scanning the room. If you're not the best public speaker, then let someone else speak. Ask them a question. Say, how was your day? What do you think of the service project? Because now not only is it giving you a little bit of a break from talking the whole time, but you're now getting to see what other people think. You're engaging with your audience, and you're letting them share to everyone else. And then, of course, icebreakers. Icebreakers are always a great way to start your meetings off. But I would say a lot of times with classic icebreakers, I know that people sometimes start to dread them. They're like, oh boy, here we go again, another icebreaker. So one of the things you can do is make it into a game, or definitely have it as like a team building exercise. Find something that 3 or 4 people can do instead of just a pair, so that you're really not having just the pure silence or awkwardness, having something that they have a goal to go for when they're playing a game. Now, this is another way that you can engage with your audience is, I know this is kind of weird having vocabulary words up here, but consistency versus monotony. They're both forms of repetition, but consistency is a positive connotation and monotony, not a great thing. See, with Key Club, you want to have a certain level of consistency. A lot of clubs will have their same meetings every week at the same time. Or you might have a volunteer project that you do the same time at the last Saturday of every month. And this is perfectly fine. You're letting people have the time to familiarize, and especially what you'll see a lot of times is that you're kind of competing with other clubs. A lot of these people are go-getters, especially they're running for officers positions. So they have a lot on their schedule, and this gives them the time to plan. However, you have to be extremely careful not to just copy and paste what you did last year. I've seen it a lot where laziness sometimes gets to officers or even for members, where you just sort of are like not willing to go for the creative process. But if you just keep doing the same thing every time, people are going to get so used to it, and they're going to say, what's the point? We already know what to expect and how it's going to play out. So try and maybe just think of a new volunteering event, switch up your icebreakers, do something just a little bit out of the ordinary to keep people coming back. And then next slide, please. And then lastly, and this really the most crucial part that you're going to see with engaging your audience is you always want to personalize the experience. At the very beginning, I talked about how there's progressions for each step into Key Club, whether you're an officer, a member, maybe you're a lieutenant governor, or even higher. And what you want to make sure you're doing is making sure that each person feels like they're included no matter what step they're at to get them to that next step. Because one of the best things about Key Club is the fact that it's character development and personal growth. You can have someone come in freshman year that is completely super shy. They never thought they're going to be in a club. Maybe their mom forced them into Key Club. They have no want to be there. I've seen it before where people are just doing math homework, and that's pretty depressing to be doing that at a Key Club meeting. So you really want to be looking around, you're seeing who your audience is, and maybe through icebreakers or activities, calling on people to speak, saying, oh, that's a great idea. You want to really start getting people out of their comfort zones. That's another one of those beauties of asking people in your audience, maybe just how their day is going. Start trying to connect people together that don't know each other. If you don't really want the social aspect of it, or you're running, a lot of times there'll be times where clubs just don't have a lot of officers. They'll actually have to ask for officers to volunteer because there's just nobody willing to run for the officer positions, use committees. Whether it's a major service project that you do every year, or maybe it's a committee for connecting with Kiwanis or a youth program. Organize a committee so that people who maybe didn't get an officer position or aren't ready to make that commitment, start having them make those smaller steps. Start letting them engage, so that in a year or two, when they're junior or senior, they can really be the next generation of your Key Club. And then I don't know if anybody has any questions about how to engage with your Key Club. It'd be a perfect time.
So back on what Colin was saying about keeping people engaged, I think staying consistent is really important, and having those amazing icebreakers. Like, something I really wanted to use was Kahoot, but sadly it's not, you can't have more than 10 people and it be free. But I know that like every time in class when we play Kahoot, like people end up start screaming and having a lot of fun, because it's just such a crazy thing, because everybody is so competitive. And I think it brings out how people actually are, and having a little bit of competition is always good. And then engaging people through things like having your meetings be every Wednesday at like 3 p.m. after school, so that people know when to come and people know that they have to stop by. And then also having those committees, like at my school, I know I'm in the creative committee where we make the shirts and other stuff like that for our Key Club, and we make the posters and the flyers so that the president and other people in the club can delegate roles to other people to make sure that they don't get overwhelmed, but all the quality of work is still really good. Blookit is a really good resource that people can use for icebreakers, and then you can also have like PowerPoints where you have them on, and then making sure that your meetings seem somewhat professional, but not to the extent where it's boring, because it's really important to know people outside of a professional aspect. Like, I know at one of our trainings, we had basically a massive icebreaker where we did a bunch of these little weird challenges. And one of them, I think it was me and Colin, like trying to stand up in some weird way. And I think that's a really good icebreaker, because it's kind of like, what the heck am I doing? And then you'll end up talking like, what are we doing now? And then it spreads, and then you just start having a good time and talking and creating these relationships that you have friends, and then you keep coming back to Key Club. And I think that's, for me, one of the biggest reasons why I wanted a district position, is because I had friends on district board. Like, one of my friends, Anna, ran for LTG and she got it, and I wanted to run for LTG, but I still wanted a position in district board because my friends are on district board. So I ran for the membership chair, and then I got it. And then it's fun to see how much change you can make in your committee and or your community and your district, and how many great things you can do over time. And then also that pathway Colin had, like, oh, show up to meetings and then you start showing up to more service events and stuff like that. I think that is like a true way of really showing what happens, because I joined Key Club my freshman year not really knowing what was going on. Like, I didn't even know that there were district positions. I kind of thought it was maybe my school only thing. And then slowly through time, I made friends, and then I kept going up and up. And now I'm here at running a webinar at the district level. And I think it's just really important to understand how much change you can make and how things complement or compound over time and just make a difference. If nobody has any more questions, then we can move on. Okay, so planning your first meeting. This is yours, Paulina, right?
Yeah, so now we're gonna talk about like planning your first meeting, kind of like how you should do it, and like things that you should do in order to like have people go to that meeting and keep those same people going to the next couple of meetings. So next slide. So how can you get a high attendance? You can do incentives, which is basically like you can have trivia questions, and whoever wins gets a prize. Gets a prize. It can be like a candy, or like you can have like food. I know my club, we usually like bring cookies and we give it out at the end of the meeting, so that way like people say throughout the whole meeting, listen to the information, listen to what we have to do, and then they get like 1 or 2 cookies at the end. That's honestly the way my club gets the most attendance. We try to always like provide some like a little candy or a little food. like it makes a lot of people want to go. I mean, it's free food. You can service hours. There are so many great ways to incorporate service into your meetings. An example is having your members make cards for hospital patients while your meeting goes on. So like while you have your president, your vice president, all your board members up talking about the information and talking about whatever it is that you have to talk about in that month, you can have your members making cards or making for like hospital patients, or like I said before, like making like thank you cards for your teachers in that in your school, and you can hand them out once the meeting is over. Like you can have the kids go through the classrooms and like slide the note under the door. That's way like it's some way that all your members can like communicate with each other and also have fun, and they're not just like sitting there bored listening to information. You also it's a very big thing to advertise, making sure people are aware of your meetings so that they know when, where, and why they are going on. My school, we have a bulletin board outside of the cafeteria, and almost a lot of clubs put like a flyer there, like about their meeting, like basically saying what they're gonna talk about, where, when, and where it's gonna be. And if you have a place like that at your school, I highly suggest that a lot, especially if it's a place that's usually very crowded, like outside the cafeteria or outside the main office, anything like that. It's honestly gonna be a way to like get a lot of people like attention on that, especially if it has like a lot of graphics and a lot of colors. It's gonna like people are gonna see that, people are gonna want to go and like to see what that is. Also, Instagram. I know Instagram is like our very like a huge thing now, especially with our generation, and like that's the like the main platform people use to see information. So if you club doesn't have an Instagram page, I highly suggest you make one. It's the best way you're gonna be able to like get people from your school to know about your club and to know the things that are going on. Preparation, have a place picked out for your meeting and communicate with people like your advisors to figure out logistics. You want your like the meeting space to be like not too big but not too small. Also, it should be able to like host all your club members. Like people shouldn't be standing or sitting on the floor. It should just be somewhere where it's very comfortable and you have like the right technology. Like you want to have a projector and a screen in order to like project up your PowerPoint. And if you want to bring food, like you can have like a table in the back to set up that food. It'll just make it easier for you as board members and also for your club members to like know where everything is and know how it's gonna happen. Next slide. Four key factors is conscientiousness. Make sure your meetings aren't not too long and have a digestible amount of information. One thing I would suggest is like on your PowerPoint, not having like a like just like huge amounts of paragraphs on it, just like a couple words and then trying to explain that. Because like if members see that there's a lot of words on the PowerPoint, they're not gonna want to look at it, they're not gonna want to listen because they think it's just a bunch of useless information. So if you have like 3 words and like a couple graphics or like little cartoons here and there, it's gonna make them want to like be more interested in what you have to say. Professionality, use PowerPoints, flyers, and know what you want to accomplish beforehand. Don't just go into your first meeting or every meeting blind, not knowing what to talk about, not knowing what to expect. Kind of have like an idea of what's going on, like know what you're going to talk about, know what's going to happen, so you're not like up there lost and members see you as like someone who's professional, someone who knows what they're doing, and maybe they want to be like that in the future, and that's how you're going to keep your like the Key Club legacy at your school going. Uniqueness, after your first meeting, make sure that they vary so that your meetings don't feel repetitive. You don't want the meetings to always be information and like a little game, information and a little game. You could do like a scavenger hunt at a meeting, something like that. So it's not just like a bunch of information to digest and then just go home after, do whatever you have to do after. It's just a way to like you're gonna get more people to show up if every meeting is a little bit different. Reflect, show your members what they have accomplished in the past so they are eager to look forward. You can have like an award ceremony at the end of the school year. You don't have to buy like those huge awards. I know at the like Dollar Tree they sell like these little awards, and you can do like Key Club Member of the Year, Key Club Board Officer of the Year, something like that. Just that they see that their hard work really does pay off, and they're not at the club like wasting their time. Next slide. Things to have prepared. I would suggest preparing an agenda. Briefly introduce what the club is and what your mission is. For the first meeting, that's really important because many people, especially like freshmen who just got into high school, don't know what Key Club is because maybe they didn't have it in their previous like middle school. So like outlining to them what it is and how we do things, it'll really like make them want to be at the meeting and make them want to go to like next meetings. Plan your icebreaker discussions and service projects. Again, you don't want to seem like you're lost up there on the stage or wherever you're hosting your meeting. You want to look professional, you want to look like you know what you're doing. So having an agenda and trying to follow that agenda as perfectly as you can will help you kind of stay on track and not like diverge into different things that are not really dealing with what you have to talk about. And outline follow-up actions and set goals for the next meeting. If for your next meeting you say, oh, I want to have at least 50 members there, that'll make people want to go and that'll make them want to reach your goal, because it'll also feel like it's their goal. And you can also tell them what activity is going to happen at the next meeting or what you will be talking about the next meeting. Number 2 is materials. You want to have everything prepared, like handouts, sign-up sheets, or informational brochures, I'm sorry, or even the food in the back. You don't want to like be going around once the meeting is over trying to collect all the food and trying to get all the members to like be in a line to get the food. You want to have all of that prepared before. Maybe have a board member like stay at the booth where the food is, so you don't have like a bunch of people just crowded up there and it's gonna kind of feel claustrophobic. And then again, having everything prepared is gonna make you look more professional, and it's gonna want people to kind of be you in the future. And again, keep up that Key Club legacy. Also, arrange for any necessary technology, a projector and a microphone. It's very important, especially if you have a big club. People are gonna talk over you. It's gonna happen. And if you have a microphone, it's just gonna make it much easier for everybody to hear you. I know my club, for the first like 2 meetings, we didn't have a microphone, and it was really hard to hear our president talk. So after they decided to use the microphone, and it was so much like simpler to hear the person talk and to hear everything that was going on, instead of just having to kind of guess what's happening. And follow up. Collect feedback from attendees to improve future meetings. During your meeting, you could have like a QR form basically saying like attendance, if you were there or not, and then at the bottom have like comments/concerns, where people can fill that out and kind of tell you what they think you should do in the future or what they would like to see from the club in the future. Just that they see like their ideas are valued, and if they see that their ideas are valued, they would want to come back to those meetings, because they're seeing that what they do and what they say is meaningful. And send a summary of the meeting and updates to the members. If you do a PowerPoint, I highly suggest emailing that PowerPoint to all the members, because it's really difficult to kind of get all the information at once. Boom, shit. If you're right there and many people are not really like taking notes, and maybe it's hard to listen. So if you send out the PowerPoint, it'll be very easy for them to see what was happening and to understand what was happening. Next slide. Tips for success: be welcoming and inclusive to all attendees. Keep the meeting engaging and interactive. Stay organized and manage time effectively. For example, like if you say your meeting is gonna end at 3:30, don't make your meeting last at 4, because we were just gonna be like, oh, I'm just wasting my time here. Like there's nothing really going on. So just try to stick to that time. I know sometimes it's really difficult, but if you tell your club members that time, it's better to stick by that time so that they see that their time is valued. Adapt the agenda based on the flow of the meeting and member engagement. If you see that the agenda needs some tweaks here and there, just do it while you're at the meeting, so that way it doesn't seem like you're kind of you don't seem like a robot up there reading off a script or anything like that. You want to seem like a real person, and that you're like doing what you have to do, but also keeping it like fun and not you don't seem like a robot. Next slide. What you could do: team building, and you can organize activities that strengthen the team and build trust. For example, the human knot. I know we did this at training. Actually, all of my membership committee members, we did this at training. It's basically like you put all your like members in a circle. You ask them to put their hands in like the front, and they close their eyes and they grab a person's hand, and then they become like a knot, and they have to like basically get out of the knot without letting go of each other's hands. Honestly, I love that activity. I feel like I got really close to my committee members while I did that activity, and I feel like that's something you could do with your members. You could do a brainstorming session, encourage creative thinking to generate new ideas for the club projects or events. You could do like what if questions. So you can have like a couple members raise their hand and say like, oh, what if we did a beach cleanup? And then you can talk about that, see how you could do that. And it could be an idea that you do for your next meeting or your next service project. You can have a guest speaker. You can invite a zone administrator or a district officer to talk at your meeting, and they can talk about Key Club. I know a lot of Key Clubs don't really know that there's like a district positions or more Key Club than just your club. So if you have like someone who's higher in Key Club, they could see like Key Club isn't just like one refined thing to a club. It's actually like international and it's big, and it's gonna like make your members be engaged and want to stay in Key Club because they'll want to be in those positions later on. You could do a social event, plan informal gatherings or social events to build camaraderie and keep members engaged. Again, you could do like beach cleanups or anything like that. So it's not just like meetings and meetings and meetings. I know my club, we had like we had some club members show up at like a like an elderly home, and we had to like entertain the elderly, play games, like dance, sing, all of that. So it's not just you're having like just purely informational stuff. You could also have fun while also like being involved with your club. You could have a skill workshop. You can offer workshops to help members develop skills relevant to the club activities. You could have like board position workshops, basically like or on a random day you can have like a president workshop, see like what the president does, because maybe that's how you're gonna get somebody to be president, and again keep up that Key Club legacy at your school. Again, you could do special activities, do something special for the holidays. My club for Halloween, we had no, I'm sorry, for Christmas, we had like a Christmas episode from like Disney Plus play on the projector, and then we gave like hot chocolate to everybody. So that's something special you could do for the holidays. So it's not like redundant, you're like changing it up. Next slide. That's all I have. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask them.
So that's our whole webinar based on the slides. But if you guys have any questions or anything you want to talk about, we can go back and talk about it. One thing I want to mention is for planning your first meeting. Oh, okay. Do you think doing a service project for the first meeting is a good idea, or should we just do icebreakers and information slides to get new members affiliated with what Key Club is and get to know each other? I think that's up to you, but I would recommend maybe having a small service project, like making cards or something, because although that seems just like a little something, you could give your members, say, their first service hour, and then it feels like they did something that first meeting, and then they have a connection to Key Club. And then you could also bring those to a hospital or a veteran's place and just a thank you to them. And then they could see what they did, like how that affected the people around them and why it was important, which shows how Key Club makes changes in your community and how important it is. So I think a service project is a really good idea because it can show it. I think it helps display an aspect of Key Club that you might not see when you just have icebreakers or information. And then back to what Paulina was talking about with like the things to have prepared. So you definitely want an agenda. An agenda is always super important in meetings. I use them for our committee meetings. Our club uses them. And then materials, you having the handouts and signups and flyers made all before. Like you might want to have the flyers out a week before, especially if you're not having meetings that are like every Wednesday or something that's continuous, so that people know beforehand. I know for my school, we use Remind, which is a super great resource that we have because it lets us send out meeting information right beforehand, so that in case people forget, they say, oh, okay, I know what I have to do after school. I have that Key Club meeting. And then following up, making sure that your meetings were actually successful by asking people what they liked about the meeting, what they didn't like, and how overall that changed everything that they felt. Any more questions? This last little bit of the webinar is devoted to questions and reviewing what we talked about in the webinar. So yeah, what can club secretaries specifically do to assist in making first meetings best as possible? I think having good meeting notes and making sure you know what happened during the meeting and making sure to set a good example that all your meetings are well documented, like who attended, what did we talk about, what do we want to follow up on, just making sure that you have good records of everything and good notes on all that is really important, so that you can look back and have the correct hours. Like say you do those service cards, who do you give a point to for their service hours? Like, did some people not make a card? Did some people make multiple cards? just overall what happened and what changed, yeah. Any more questions?
Not only,
Oh.
but for those club secretaries, when you are making those notes, those will be asked like in your report. So in your monthly report, you'll report all of that.
So I just have a quick question. So a lot of things that you guys talked about are different initiatives and new things to add, but it kind of seems
I'm sorry, I think you cut out. I'm gonna read off Chris's question, but if you want to write your question in the chat, because I'm sorry, I just can't hear you. If you want to write it there, I'll come right back to it. Okay, how should we pass this information down to our other officers in the board? Well, this webinar is recorded, so we'll make sure to have it posted somewhere right after the meeting. It might take a couple days, but definitely before the school year starts. And I think you can also talk to them and just, if you've taken notes on this webinar at all, if you haven't, that's perfectly fine. But just keeping in mind what we talked about through like having icebreakers, like having a Kahoot or having a GIM kit, and having fun little trivia questions, and just different ways to keep your members engaged and retaining them. And especially depending on your position, like say you should tell your president what you think that they want should change and what you think that could help them. Like if you think you need a committee for X, then tell them, hey, I think we should make this committee so that we know what's going on and we have our problems delegated. How does introducing a point system for new members, those who are interested in Key Club, sound? You gain points by participating in service project, volunteers, an event, and you can redeem prizes. I think that's an amazing idea because that shows incentives, and positive reinforcement is always better than negative reinforcement. So having those prizes that people can redeem and makes them realize that their effects, they benefit the community, it helps them, and it kind of, I think it reflects as a little reward or something that makes them feel appreciated by you and your club. And I think definitely, yeah, having somewhere where people can get little gifts or little shirts and stuff after, like especially like that service banquet that Lyndon was talking about, maybe everybody could take their points and spend them there or whatever. Class Dojo is a good way to track points. And then yeah, the PowerPoint, it will be shared. I don't know exactly how we're going to share it. I think we'll probably have it on the website under the membership development section, which is a really good point on the website to look at because there's membership matinees done from a couple of years ago. Those are like 45 minutes long. They have a lot of information in them. I think Class Dojo might be free, but I'm not exactly sure. I think to a certain extent. But yeah, any other questions? If you guys want to just unmute your microphone and say them, that's completely fine because we don't have anything more to present presentation wise. It's just questions now. Lyndon, do you want to say anything about like the last part, how people can look forward to making their first meeting or what they should include or what you thought?
Yeah, so I mean, you guys pretty nailed it really well when it comes to your first meeting, but definitely just keeping them engaged, making them feel like there's purpose in Key Club. Make sure that they're not just going to some random meeting for just another thing to put on their college resume. You know, give them something to do when it comes to like you can add a little service project or game, but I mean, you pretty much nailed it on the wall, honestly.
Really quick, I just looked up the whole Class Dojo thing. As long as you say you're a school leader, it will be free. I recommend using a school email if you have one too.
So if anybody has like anything to say, this is the time for questions, like what you thought about the webinar, what you would like to see, because we might potentially hold a second webinar. I don't know exactly what's happening with that, but I know that there's going to be a lot more webinars. I think there's one for each committee, and this is the first of all of them. So like, what critiques did you have? What did you like? What didn't you like? And what would you like to see in those following webinars from the other committees? I think a good way to get lost members to kind of join back or be more included into your key club is by showing them what has changed and how your club has made a difference. Like at your school, you could do a cleanup and then you can see like what they did. Because I know at my school, we have something called Gold Fever, which is like a dance competition, basically. It's weird, but it's a lot of fun. And there's basically like 4 big service clubs at our school. And it's fun to see your club having an actual presence at your own school because it shows that it's not just service, it's also having fun and making connections with the people that are in your club and the differences that you make at not only your community level, but at like a personal level with making new friends and meeting new people. Renata, do you have anything to say about what you think about that? Or Veronica, or anybody on the committee?
I would just a reminder, everyone, please stick around for the Google Drive link that we are going to be sending out. It has a lot of information and a lot of resources that will definitely be helpful for you guys. So remember to stick around for that. And how to get back lost members? Okay, so I just think that, like what Anderson said, kind of showing how your club has grown and like the opportunities and just showing that all the opportunities that your club has can kind of persuade people who didn't really feel like they had a purpose or an impact in Key Club to join again. If you just show them like everything, like the impact that your club has, everything that they could do if they join, I think that would be a really, really good way to bring back lost.
Yeah, the breakout rooms got a little bit messed up. We'll work on that for next time. And I think that, yeah, if there's no more question, I think the webinar might end a little bit early, like 11:40, 1:45, or maybe 2, or that's not early, sorry, but just 1:45 if nobody has any more questions. But if anybody has like anything to say, like critiques, questions, what their favorite part of the webinar was, that's completely what this time is for. I think, yeah, there's a lot of social medias are a really good way to show off your club. Like Instagram, having those kind of, because everybody's on Instagram, you see your club doing things and you find it, oh, I wish I did that. I'm going to go to the next meeting, or I'm going to go to the next service project. Or I just want to interact with the people in my club more because they're all like smiley and happy and they're all fun people to be around. The best way to go up the rank system, I'm going to look at the pyramid again. But I think starting off as a club level officer is a really good way to show your leadership position. because it helps that you have a then leadership position. That's something that gives you experience that you can use to run for lieutenant governor. And I think after club officer, you go for lieutenant governor or committee chair, because lieutenant governors and committee chairs are very similar in the way that they work at the district level under the executives and under the governor, but still help the actual like district, like the members, because the LTGs or lieutenant governors work to collect information from their clubs and their district or their division to give to the higher ups like Daniela or other people on the executive committee. So I think club level officer, lieutenant governor, or committee chair, and then if you have another year, then you can go for executive committee or governor, or you can even go for things like international trustee or international president if you are that into Key Club. I know, Paulina, you or does anybody else have any like remarks on that at all?
I would definitely say just, especially when you're at the bottom, well, not the bottom, but when you're trying to get in the club officership, just try and show up to as much as you can. Put your face out there, put your name out there. And something you'll find too is you don't want to necessarily just run for a position just because it's a position. You want to run for it because there's something specifically that you wanted to change, especially with chairs. You'll find that these are specific committees, or even as lieutenant governor. If you're showing up to all of your service projects or as many as you can, you're going to start seeing things that you're like, okay, that's cool. I want to expand on that. That's my goal. And when you start providing that as a resource to other people will recognize that and say he would be a really, or she would be a really good lieutenant governor or committee chair. So just find something that you're interested in within Key Club and that you want to share out to the other people.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point, because the reason I ran for the membership chair is also because I didn't really know too much about the district positions until pretty recently. And I feel like that's one thing that I really wanted to expand upon is people's information about that, which the Google Drive, which we hope to send out, maybe it'll probably end up getting sent out a week or two after this meeting, because we have to get it approved and other things like that. But I think, yeah, just having a reason that motivates you, because burnout is real. Like senioritis for people who are going into senior year, I think they can all attest to that. And that if you're just running for a position to run for it, you're not going to enjoy it. And then you're not going to do good work. And having a position that you did bad in looks worse on a resume or a college application than just not having it in the first place, because instead of like helping people, you made it harder for them to do their job. So I think the meeting is going to end at 1:40 if there's no more questions, and we'll stay after for a couple more minutes in case there are any more, but I don't want to hold you guys any longer than you have to be here if we have nothing to talk about. But I want to say thank you all for showing up to the webinar, and I hope you learned a lot of different information that you can use as a member, a club officer, or even at the district level to expand your club and increase membership. And one thing that I wanted to go back to talking about was freezing over in January and how retaining members is super important. Because in January, that's when a lot of people start losing interest in Key Club because there's not as much to do. Like club officers might not be telling them as much about service events and other things, and people kind of just get lost and out of the kind of groove of interacting with Key Club. Because at the start of the year, everybody's like, oh, I want more clubs, I want more extracurriculars, this is going to be so much fun. And then they end up putting themselves into too many different positions where they have to choose one or the other. And in January, which is somewhere where people start having like finals and they're getting more work put on them, they're like, I don't really want to do this anymore, I'm going to go do something else. But if you show how Key Club has made a difference in your community, like through cleanups, or I know we did like the neighborhood that our school is in, we went and like basically painted houses and made them look better by like doing a bunch of different cleanups and other things like that. Then people realize how it's actually making a difference and how important it is to be in Key Club, especially because a lot of the people who are in Key Club go on to make a lot of great change in the world. Like how earlier, one of the trivia questions was who was in Key Club? And Tom Cruise, a famous actor, Elvis Presley, a famous musician, and Bill Clinton, a politic, these are all super important people in today's world. And they all started off in Key Club. And I think it's crazy to look back and think that these people are in the same club that you are in now. These people, you're following them in their footsteps, and it shows that you can do something great too. And just being careful of keeping a bunch of people in Key Club and keeping people motivated and keeping people wanting to change the world for the better, even just starting off at their community level and then working their way up to maybe changing the whole world one day, is a really important thing. Any more questions at all? Because if not, I think the webinar is pretty much over, unless you want to stay behind and then ask questions after, which is also fine.
Sorry, I have one question. The person with the B on their logo, their internet was cutting in and out, and she asked me to ask you this question. With these new initiatives and things to do or add on to our club operations, how do they recommend we include these into our clubs? Some stuff seems like a lot of work and might be hard for us to accomplish. And should we delegate, or should officers just expect to need to put in more time into Key Club to make sure we're successful?
So I think one, you should delegate, because committees are such an important thing. Like if Alejandro had to say do everything for Key Club, Alejandro's amazing. He does a lot of great work. But if he had to do all of it, I don't think his quality of work would be as high as it is now. So if you have like a creative committee, a social committee, like I know at my school, we have a VP social who works on all the social events. That's really important to have, because you can't have one person doing everything, and delegating power and making sure that one person is not doing like 10 hours of work where they have to delegate 1 hour to 10 things, and having maybe 10 people delegating 2 hours to each thing. You're getting more results for less effort, or more results for less work. And then, sorry, what was the other part of your question? I kind of got a little sidetracked.
She said something with the new initiatives and the club operations. How do you guys recommend we include these in our clubs?
Is that like icebreakers and like incentives and stuff like that? Is that what you mean?
I'm not sure what she means by that.
Okay. So I'll just talk about that for a second. So I think icebreakers are something that you can put at the front of every meeting. You could have a little something like we go around the room and everybody says their favorite thing about the past week, or what they're proud of what they did. Just something so that people start talking, because it's really weird when you're in a meeting and nobody asks questions and nobody talks. So having something where people are feeling maybe a little uncomfortable starting off with is better than having a meeting where everybody's just sitting there not saying anything, not doing anything. But I think you can also include like incentives and stuff like that, like how Veronica was talking about, like do a cartwheel and you get a piece of candy, and including just in the PowerPoints that you have, saying like a little text bubble maybe on the bottom right that's like super tiny and you can barely read it, but if you're paying attention you'll see it. Just little things sprinkled in and around your meetings, so that you're not changing the world, you're changing little things at a time, because it's really hard to change a lot of things and remember everything you have to change. So even if you just add one of these per meeting, by the end of the year, say you have a couple meetings every month, then you've changed a lot of things over time and you've made your Key Club a lot better. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay. So any committees that are like suggested, I think there's a list. I don't remember exactly where it is right now. I'll try to find it later and send it out. But I think having a committee that works with like your social group or like your social events, like where are you going to meet? Like I know we have like a winter social that we go to, and it's not a service event, but we all just go there and we all talk and we all have fun and we make connections with other key club members. And then they also do like the I can't remember the word, but like when you are inductions is a really important part of key club. And I think if you have a good inductions, that sets the tone to having a good year of key club because people are already starting to make connections. I remember one of my vivid memories from inductions was at the end of inductions, we all did the Cotton Eye Joe, and that was really fun at the time. And I think that made like let me have a lot of connections with the people in my key club because at the end of the night we were all like tired and we didn't really care what other people thought of us. And I think if somebody can see the true you, then they're a lot more likely to become friends with you than somebody who's just professional and all the time and doesn't really show you how they feel. The meeting is recorded, yes, and it will be sent to your emails within the next couple days. I'm going to take the Google form that everybody RSVP'd on and then just send out the email with the recording on it. Hopefully pretty soon, maybe by the end of like by Friday or by the end of this week at the latest. So yeah. Any more questions? Your club hasn't done the point system since I joined, but I don't really understand how it works. I'm a new secretary at my Key Club. I would love to start doing it again. What is the best way to do it? Do you mean point system like point like service point or like service hours or like incentives that they like came to meetings? If you want to just unmute and ask, yeah, that would be perfect.
I mean like I hear like a lot of the like officers talk about the point system and everything. I'm not talking about the hours specifically because I do keep good track of that already. I'm talking about like I don't know how else to explain it, but it's like the point system, I guess.
I'm not exactly sure about the point system. Paulina or Veronica or Lyndon or Colin, do you guys know anything about that you would like to talk about?
The only one I know about is the one we talked about with the class dojo, like awarding if they did like a good act, like positive attitude, I guess, at a event, stepping up above what the expected is, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
I know in my school, the way we do point system is if you show up, every time you show up to a meeting, you get a point, and at the end of the school year, the person with like the most points, like that's how you keep track of the points. It's basically like how you show up to the meetings.
Did that
So
answer your question?
it's
Oh,
just
sorry.
like a reward system. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. So I think so, yeah. That's what we were talking about for the point system, like just showing people's involvement in Key Club and how they're being appreciated for what they did. Just as kind of like a final year recognition or just giving them some sort of memento of their attendance to their Key Club and what they did to change it.
So let me ask you a
Okay,
question. You keep talking about the point system. This is Miss Anine from Palmetto Senior. And I think that the clubs that maybe are using the point system could probably step up and clarify for others in the group, right? So how does those points transfers to rewards? If we're talking about end of the year reward, of course, participating in a banquet or a ceremony at the end, but how can those points systems be used from month to month to increase or get people excited or to promote participation? How are those points being used, if anybody's currently using those point systems at their clubs at this current time?
I mean, I think if anybody wants to like write in the chat what they did or talk right after me, that's perfect. I think you could do things like, oh, if you have, say, over 20 points from this month, maybe not 20, depending on how you give them out, like say per each meeting you get one, and then per each service event you get one, maybe like 8 to 10 points per month, then you get invited to like a pizza party or an ice cream party or something like that. Just something that's a little like not something that's crazy expensive, like giving them a whole meal, but maybe a cookie or something, just an incentive that they get at the end of each month, something that they get to look forward to, and something that ties them back into staying in Key Club and being consistent with their attendance.
Another
Does
thing,
anybody else have anything? Oh, sorry, Veronica.
that's okay. So my school, down in Naples, we have like this thing. We don't do points, but we do it by hour, and we have club member of the month. So the person with the most hours for the month is the club member of the month. But ways like, and we just give them like a candy. But if you wanted to make that incentive stronger, maybe go to your Kiwanis and ask them if they donate like a little basket that's maybe $20. Nothing more than that, just something small with maybe a $5 gift card, a piece of candy, and I don't know, a book or something. I don't really know. But something that you know that your kids like and try to do it that way.
Does anybody else at their school use the point system that they think works well to show off Key Club?
We don't have a point system, but we do have a Key Clubber of the Year award at the end, sort of like a ceremonial thing to recognize someone who's gone above and beyond. But I would also say too, it really truly just depends on your Key Club, your school, and what your people like. So if you have a lot of people who are showing up to volunteer opportunities, but maybe not the meetings, that's what you want to make your point system about. You want to target the weaker points of the club where people aren't showing up to them, so that they're gonna want to go for maybe candy or something else to be recognized for it. So I mean, it's gonna depend a little bit, especially on just the size of your school.
I think that's a great point. I think that as schools are looking at instituting a point system, because I keep hearing that, but unfortunately the students are like, point system, what does that mean? What does it look like? I think that it's important to isolate the area where you're trying to increase, whether it's the membership, whether it's participation at meetings, whether it's participation at service clubs, service projects, and then establish that point system there. And I think that your peers have given you very good insights. Even you can have a raffle, those points can be converted into a raffle at the end of the month, like one of the members said, and then $5 gift cards, here and there, and have a committee that are just working on establishing gift cards within the month, So those are all wonderful ideas. And I just wanted to project that because a lot of the members are looking like point system, but what does it look like? Right. And I think it's important because everybody's happy until December. There's something that magically happens, and then everybody starts to just dwindle away. So I appreciate you guys are doing an amazing job.
I think specifically in December, like December into January time, that's when exams happen. So that's when everybody like shuts down and everybody's like, okay, I just have to study. I'm not going to go to this Key Club meeting because I have other things to study for, like my midterms and other things like that. And then I feel like after they kind of just don't come back. But I think, the point system can look extremely different school to school, because it could be, oh, we have like 20 members at our club and we need more members because we are running out of members. I'm pretty sure like 20 members is like an endangered club pretty much. So you could be like, oh, if you get somebody to join Key Club and they say you basically brought them into Key Club, they could get a point, and then they could put that point into a raffle, and at that raffle they could get candy bars, they could get a t-shirt. There's so many different things that you could just use, and then you could also bring that together to work. Like you could have that as a committee, and you could also have like your social committee, and then at the end of every month you have a little like meeting, but it's not exactly a meeting, it's just more where you talk about different things, and you could have little monthly raffles that you have like a couple t-shirts and a chocolate bar, and it's not like crazy expensive. And then also using Kiwanis to come in and pay for maybe those couple chocolate bars or t-shirts, because they are willing to give money as long as it helps for a cause. And say that cause, you could explain to them, oh, we're making it so that every member that joins gives a person a point towards a raffle, or every 5 hours of service they have, it gives them a point for the raffle. Just it can look different everywhere you go, but I think it is a very important thing that you could use to talk about different things in Key Club and your problems. So any more questions? If not, I think the meeting is going to, I'm gonna stop the meeting at 2 p.m. And if you have any more questions, feel free to email us. The webinar video, because it's recorded, should be sent out relatively soon. I'm going to send it to all the people on the Google Forum, regardless if they attended or not. I hope it helped you guys, and I can't wait to see what you all do to increase membership throughout the year. And feel free to ask questions about the website and where to find things on the website to the webmaster, who's Eleanor Coe, and she can help, and then where to find resources. We're really here to help you all and make sure you have a great year and increase membership and just have overall a really good service year. So if you have no more questions, then I think the meeting's pretty much over. I'll stay here for a couple more minutes in case you think of any questions after, but I hope you all had a great time, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. You're welcome. Bye, everyone.
Have a good day.
You too. Alexander, do you have any questions? Okay.
Issa just
Yeah,
request.
I see that. Hi, Issa.
Hi, Issa.
Hi. How'd the meeting go?
I think it went really well.
Awesome. Yeah, sorry I missed it.
It's fine. We have it recorded, and we hopefully want to send that out or put it on the website by the end of the week. I think the
Awesome.
meeting
I'll send it to-
is gonna, yeah. What were you saying? Sorry.
I'm gonna send it to my club officers in case they missed it. I don't know if they were here or not, but yeah. All right, cool.
Okay. Have a nice day, Issa.
You too. Wait, how was the turnout overall? Like, how many people were here?
I think around 60, 65 people RSVP'd, and I think we had around like 50 people for the whole thing.
Awesome. All righty. Yeah. All right. Well, you guys have a good day. Nice checking in for last. See you, Anderson.
Bye. See you
Okay, bye.